Hi everyone, welcome back to Write Better Together with Peggy and Kennedy, and thank you for joining us today on Writer Wednesday. We have a very special guest. Her name is Stasha Cole. She is a PhD student at the University of Tulsa, and she's also a graduate assistant at the Nimrod International Journal. And her poetry and photography have been published in literary journals across the country. So, hi Stasha, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Peggy, and I'm so excited.
I'm excited for you. I'm excited to have you here. So, Stasha, do you mind telling us a little bit about you, where you're from?
Yeah, so I'm was born and raised in and around Tulsa,
Okay.
and I have attended the University of Tulsa, and I'm in for my bachelor's degree in Russian Studies and English with a minor in history, my master's degree in English language and literature, and now my PhD in English language and literature.
Awesome. How are Russian studies?
Fantastic. TU has a small but mighty Russian studies program, and it allowed me to get to know some of the Slavic literature that is just so incredibly stunning and beautiful and has shaped me to this day.
Oh, that sounds really fascinating. Thank you. I wanted to know your primary interests, I guess, in English. Like, what do you like to write about? What are you studying in TU?
Yeah, so right now I am in the dissertation stage or in the prospectus stage right before the dissertation. And my primary fields of study are Anglophone, Victorian
Mm,
era-ish, so 19th century, long 19th century, because I like to get right up into the pre-World War One
mm.
territory. Um, a little bit transatlantic, but mostly British. And I love poetry, eco-criticism, and my dissertation will be on the mountain motif as an eco-spiritual biocentric phenomena in Victorian literature.
Oh wow. I am really interested in the Victorian era. It was really funny when I was a child. My grandmother she was really into the Victorian stuff. Her house was decorated with Victorian doodads, and she would always tell me, when you grow up, you're gonna love Victorian era stuff. You're gonna love all things Victorian like me. And I would always tell her, no way, no, I'm a country girl. And now here I am. I'm really studying Victorian stuff and loving it.
Good, I'm so glad. It's just so fun. I'm probably not supposed to ask you questions, but I want to know what you love about it.
Oh my goodness. I really love learning about the culture, like just the random things that they would do to pass the time back then and the things that they read and studied and all. It's
Yes,
really fascinating.
it really is. They did some weird
Yeah,
stuff and thought it was normal.
yeah, they really did. So, what kind of stuff do you like to write personally, like poetry and such?
Yeah, so I've dabbled in flash fiction before, thanks to
Hmm.
classes at TU, but for the most part, I definitely classify myself as a poet. And my poems tend to be pretty local and particular focused, rather than large and abstract. I also have been told by my current dissertation advisor, Dr. Dennis Denisoff, who is an
Hmm.
incredible professor and creative writing mentor, that my poems are like bonbons because they're just small and sweet. And he encouraged me to stop making them so sweet. So my poems now are still short, but I try to bring more of an array of human emotions to them.
Okay. Yeah, the more emotions, the better the piece, I guess.
I think so too.
Mm. Right. So, you mentioned that you're really interested in eco-criticism and ecology in your writing. I think I saw on your website that or a TU thing, website thing, that you're interested in ecological myth making. Could you
Yes.
tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So I am just finishing up my tenure as an Oklahoma Center for the Humanities Public Fellow this year. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
my trajectory of inquiry during that fellowship was to think about how people think about themselves in relation to nature, how we think about nature as separate or as an element with which we are mutually imbricated, or as, there's a vast swath with lots of theorists on eco-critical thought, I suppose. And so for me, ecological myth making is about what are the truths and lies we tell ourselves and have told ourselves historically about how humans are a particular aspect of the interconnected natural web.
That's really fascinating. I took a class with Dr. Denisov, kind of similar to that. I think you might have heard a little bit about it here and there, but it was really fascinating. We read works like Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness and
Mm-hmm.
Helen Habila's Oil on Water. It was really eye-opening and very interesting to learn about, and sad too, the ways that
Yes,
humans have hurt the environment and other people.
yes. I think another reason why I'm so interested in the Victorian era is because, as our mentor Denisov has argued across a lot of different venues, really the first environmentalists come within the Victorian era, the first animal rights activists in late 18th century. And from there, literary people, as with everyday people, just become more and more interested and invested in how industrialism is shaping the landscape.
Very true, very true. I think there were even people back then advocating for like child labor laws and that sort of thing. That was really fascinating. So you mentioned the Oklahoma Center for Fellowship or the Oklahoma Center for Humanities Fellowship. Could you
Yes.
tell us a little bit about your experience there and how it influenced you as a writer?
Yes, it was amazing. I was in a cohort of less than 10 of us, and so every week we would meet, and one of us would lead the presentation for the week and talk about a different aspect of myth, largely conceived. We had so many different iterations of the term. We have a wonderful, wonderful musician and a playwright slash director and a classical studies professor. All of this information can be found on the Oklahoma Center for the Humanities website. But we just got together every week and talked, and it's just really enjoyable. And so I think because their theme of the year is myth, that influenced me and a couple of friends, Hachichuku and William Clark, to try our hand. We're all poets, and Hachi's also a fiction writer. Try our hand at a poem a day challenge, and we wanted it to be thematic. And considering OCH has the myth theme for the entirety of this year, and we will be using the English Graduate Student Association will be using that same myth theme for our annual symposium. We thought it could be a fun idea to try to write a poem a day on a mythological topic each day. So we just concluded what we are calling Myth Month and have now recruited many others, including our own wonderful Peggy Ann, to continue the project of a poem a day with a prompt a day.
Yes, that's been really, really challenging. And yesterday was just my first day, so it's it's really fun though to think about. I think this month we're doing form, right? Like
Yes.
writing about poetry,
Yep. And with different forms. Yes. And we're
right?
still trying to keep a little bit of the mythological in there just for fun.
Yeah, that's really exciting. But I'm really glad that you got that fellowship. I'm really excited for you and happy
Thank you.
that you were able to do that. So, oh, sorry.
I think that
Um,
also the process of the Myth Month, I'd just like to add, was fantastic to have a community of writers writing every day together because you see I'm only going to speak for myself, but there were many, many days throughout the month where what I produced was not high quality. And so it was a good reminder that the practice of writing can sometimes be just as beneficial as the craft of writing.
Definitely. It's the process and the journey, not the destination, I guess.
Yes.
So, I mentioned previously that you're in the Nimrod Journal. Would you mind telling us a little bit about that, your work as an editor there?
Yes. I love my job at Nimrod International Journal. The most, it's just a blessing of a graduate assistantship. Personally, my boss, Boris, is
Oh,
obviously incredibly accomplished man, and he's just a joy to work with. He's so kind and really supportive of his students' creative endeavors themselves, even if it's just within a graduate class. Um, so he's been instrumental in helping me feel comfortable and confident submitting my poetry, editing my poetry as well. And I also work with, as I mentioned earlier, Hachi Chuku, who is our managing editor, also incredible writer. Incredible, like nominated for Best of the Net, incredible. And they're working on a novel right now. So I think the practice of being in the office is just such a creative space because there's a brilliant minds there. But on the day-to-day side, I'm I get to process a lot of paperwork, which is super thrilling, but it's fantastic to get to talk to authors, both poetry and fiction authors around the country, even if it's just to process their paperwork. Um, but I also get the joy of reading manuscripts that have been submitted to us. I help Boris process our poetry manuscripts. So even earlier today, I was reading some poems that just incredible. We receive thousands of them a year. And
wow.
so sorting through hurts your feelings a little bit because there's so much good work we don't get to publish. We just have to pick the best of the best.
How do you pick? Like, what exactly do you look for? What do you like to see and not like to see when you're reading and processing?
Yes. I think that has largely been informed by a couple of things. I've been a reader for Nimrod since I started interning there in 2021. So I've, by seeing the types of work previous editors have published, I think that has taught me a little bit of the style of the journal, which always shapes what works we pick, not what works are good. And then also, Boris has really strong formal training. And so rather than first person narrative style poems that other journals really love, um, ours tend to be more focused on historical events, on uh, reflection on interpersonal relationships rather than the story itself about interpersonal relationships. And Boris really loves himself a form and loves rhyme. So I think he's also helped de influence me from the myth that rhyme is dead. So I've really appreciated how turns of phrase can actually be enhanced by a rhyme sometimes. So the whole process has been really educational as well as enjoyable.
It does sound really fun. I'm glad that you have that. But this might be a good thing for our viewers. I mean, y'all might think about publishing to a journal, submitting your manuscripts, your poetry, your fiction, whatever you're writing to a journal or a contest. I mean, even local libraries have stuff like that, like contests. Ours is doing something. So I'd recommend finding a library or journal near you or online. So that's something to look into.
I
But
actually have some resources for that, if I may share.
please do. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yes, there are three websites that I use religiously to submit my own work, and I know that Nimrod also uses two of them. And the process is really easy and intuitive for all three of them. You just have to create an account. Submittable is the one most used by larger um, journals, and like the most reputable journals usually publish through Submittable. You can get on there and browse their opportunities. You can filter by genre. You can filter by
Mm.
if you have to pay to submit or not. But Duosoma, the website, which is the free version of Duotrope, is also a fantastic resource that also has opportunities for submission and a submission portal itself. But my favorite website is Chill Subs, and this is the most vast database of journals and contests that you can filter by price, by how likely they are to accept you, by genre, by oh gosh, there's just so they have a fantastic filter features. If they accept simultaneous submissions or not, if they nominate for prizes, if it's published in print, if you get contributor copies. And so usually that website will direct you to the journal's internal website where it'll give you a submission form or tell you where to email, or it'll spit you into their submittable as well. So
Okay.
I cannot recommend enough submitting your work for publication. You will get rejected a lot. And that is part of the process. I have been rejected likely, I think we're verging on 100 times now. And
Ooh,
so my process is every time you get a rejection, submit twice more.
I love that.
And you just end up accumulating opportunities. And yeah, as Boris says, paper your entire house with your rejection slips just so you're
Yes,
desensitized by them. And by what he really means by that is just keep submitting, because if you're not getting rejected, then you're not doing the work of giving yourself the opportunity to get published. So,
exactly.
can't recommend enough.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, you'll never get a yes unless you submit.
Yes, and I've noticed for a lot of our colleagues in the department, they will reject themselves. They will keep their work to themselves before they're willing to submit, and thus get no publication credits, even though their
Right.
work is objectively very good.
Yeah, so thank you very much for sharing those. I hope that that's helpful to our viewers, and I will do my best to remember to put some links down at the bottom of the video, so check those out. And one other question I'd like to ask is about your writing process. Like, how do you write your poems? How does it work, I guess?
That's a fantastic question. Um, Often, unless I'm in the prompt a day cycle, which has been incredibly chaotic. And I just sit down in the morning and do my artist's way style morning pages. And then I write my poem. Um, I find that it's helpful to clear my brain, get brain dump everything that I'm actually worrying about, all the tiny little stuff,
Mm.
and then try to approach a topic. But in when I'm unchaperoned in the wilds, I think I tend to wait for a poem to approach me rather than try to grab one out of the air. By which I mean, usually it just comes with a flash of inspiration from somewhere, and usually it's either an image or a line. And then from there, I just start, I think, cooperating with the poem as it wants to come out. Yeah.
That's incredible. Thank you for sharing. It is really difficult for me too to chase a poem. Sometimes it has to come to me, and that works for fiction too. The idea has to come to me first sometimes, and I don't know if I just sit down in front of a blank keyboard or piece of paper and nothing just if I cannot try to do it and nothing will
Yeah.
come. I don't
Yeah.
know why that happens, but it does. But I believe you have a piece prepared for us. Would you be willing to do a reading for us?
Yes, I would. Thank you. So this is from our Myth Month. This is an unpublished piece, but I hope to present it as one of the pieces at the Myth English Graduate Student Association Symposium. Um, that Peggy Ann will also be presenting it, and I'm so excited. Um, but this one, the prompt, I believe, was altar. And so this is called Portable Altar. And if you can't tell, I really like alliteration and assonance. I think they're helpful, especially during Myth Month, to think about the repetition and resonance of mythological motifs throughout time. But anyway, I'm gonna stop. I'm just gonna read it. Okay. Idolize, idle eyes, I dole out I far more than I'd like. The lyric why, the crooked lie. I have time, vie for my own attention, sacrifice mentioning the altar at which I worship, vitrified and useless, screw this wise device. Its childish cries, its beck, its calls, its texts, its gall, soulless yet needy, promises empty yet greedy, a carousel of cares. I sell the sole sweet sustenance I have, false connection to a small screen I needs must wean from, too heretical.
Wow, that was really amazing.
Thank you.
I do like the alliteration and the assonance there. I
Thank
think
you.
what really struck me was the carousel of cares. That's a perfect imagery. I love it.
Thank you.
Thank thank you so much for sharing that. I love poetry readings. I love poetry. So thank you. That was a treat. But I have a few little fun get to know you questions if you're up for it.
Yeah.
So first of all, what is your favorite sandwich?
That's good. Okay, so whenever I was a child, I'd say it's still my favorite this day, but when I was a child, for about a decade in a row, I would get a tortilla, and on one half I would have peanut butter, and on the other half I would have Nutella. And I would
Ooh,
squish it and eat it every day.
that sounds really good.
It's delicious.
Nutella's good. So if you could be the best at anything, what would it be besides writing?
That's good. That's so difficult. I
I
think
know.
I'm torn between like a humanitarian answer and like a hobby answer. Can I give you both?
Yeah, please do.
Okay. Uh, Humanitarian answer would be I wish I was the best at making people feel comfortable. And then the hobby answer is that I've been an amateur potter for the last year and a half. And so
So
I would like to be better at that.
I love that. As a Christian, I always love the potter metaphor of like God being the potter and we're the clay. So that's
Hmm.
really fascinating. But also, I really do believe that you are really good at making people feel comfortable. I
Thank
remember
you.
the Stasha actually took us all to McNally's one time for our, what do we call that? The
A welcome dinner.
yes, the welcome to grad school dinner at a nearby restaurant in Tulsa, and she picked me up as along with a few other girls, and she was very helpful to us and answered a lot of our kind of initial questions about grad school, and she was very comfortable to be around, I believe. It
Oh,
made me
thank
feel
you.
right at home.
I'm so glad.
So yes, you are really good at that. What's your favorite song?
Oh, that's a good one. Okay. You know, it changes all the time.
Mine does too.
Um, okay, lately I have absolutely loved the artist Logan Bowden. He has this song called Fur, and it's just this beautiful indie love song about being up in the mountains, and yeah, I just love it.
I really like indie music. Have you ever heard of Alex Rainbird? They're on YouTube.
No,
They
I will be looking this up.
they have a lot of indie music and they only use real people, no AI, and they have a bunch of playlists, one playlist for each month. So that's
Okay,
really they're really good. I like them.
thank you. I'll write it
Yeah.
down.
Yeah. So do you prefer your writing space to be kind of cozy or do you need some people around? What does your workspace look like, I guess?
My current workspace is my office at my home, which is a sunroom. So I
Ooh,
have east windows here, south windows here, and the west window giving you some sunset goodness
ooh,
right there. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I bought this chair during COVID, and it's shaped like a jelly bean, and it's the weirdest chair that I've ever seen, but it is so comfortable. So I have my chair, I have a heating pad, and
ooh,
a heated blanket.
ooh, nice.
So
You're
cozy to
cozy.
the max.
Totally. I love that for you. That's nice. So, lastly, do you have a call to action for our viewers?
I do actually. I encourage every viewer to submit your work. Please submit your work. Editors around the country are looking for work right now, and your piece could be the perfect fit. You never know unless you try. And don't get discouraged by the rejections. If you're getting rejections, that means you are doing the work, and I'm proud of you.
Yes, thank you very much, Stasha. And thank you so much for being here with us and joining us and for your awesome poetry. And thank you all for watching. Please join us for Fun Friday. And remember, we could not have done it without you. Bye.